Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, and Parker Kelly broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Hope everybody's Wednesday is off to a great start. We got a fun show for you today. The Preds have made their hire as Chris MacFarland comes over as the president of hockey operations and general manager, and he will be introduced to the media at 11 a.m. We will carry that press conference live for you coming up in the final hour of the show. But we got Cory in studio for the full show today. Cory, what's going on?
I'm adequate. How are you?
I am great. I'm glad that we finally have news on the Preds GM search after 4 months. It took a while, but yesterday, the rumblings started coming out. Elliot Friedman and other insiders put out there during our show that the Predators had been given permission to speak to Chris MacFarland, and it really, the domino effect went from there. And a few hours later, he was the guy, as the Predators announced last afternoon.
Just kind of feels like he was the guy from the jump. They just had to wait their turn, and then you have to have the affirmation, But look, Barry knows this guy, right? I mean, all the Preds personnel people know this guy.
Yes.
There's enough intel in the building, all right, to go to Bill Haslam and say, yeah, he's a really good candidate. He's good at this. He's bad at this. Blah 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 blah. And so, for as quiet as everything was, and we heard several names come up because you still have to have other candidates in case it doesn't work out,
right?
But looking at it now, reading the tea leaves after the tea's already been made, looks like this was the pick all along.
Yeah, there was so much speculation about what's taking so long. Why have the Predators not been able to go get their guy after 3+ months? And I think you're right that they probably had their eye on Chris MacFarland from the beginning, but they weren't going to get the opportunity to speak to him until after the Avalanche were done playing. That Colorado wasn't just going to give them permission middle of their season. Yeah, go talk to our GM.
They had to choke first.
Right. Yes. Their season had to end first. So I agree with you. I think the Predators, they did their due diligence on other prospects for the job. They went out, they interviewed other people, and probably had a backup plan in case Chris MacFarland said,
they had a backup
right.
plan.
I'm saying if they didn't, things probably wouldn't have gone very well. But I would agree with you that they had a focus on Chris MacFarland the entire time, even though that they were vetting other candidates just in case he wasn't interested.
Yes, that's when looking at it now, what makes the most sense to me. And we'll find. I don't know what they're going to be willing to spill today. I'm sure somebody will ask a question along those lines,
right?
And they'll say no. It's been an open process from the start. We did want to talk to him, so we did wait for him. And then when he did, he blew us away, blah, 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 blah. Look, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, he's from a good organization. So,
yeah. And I think you probably realized when it happened within 3 hours of the reports that they were allowed to talk to him.
Oh, he's hired.
He's hired. He's the guy.
They really did a hell of a job vetting him.
Well, and they did say that Bill Haslam met face-to-face. Elliot Friedman reported that.
Yeah,
Bill
Haslam met face-to-face. Did you want the job?
The night before. Yeah, it's like, hey, and that's what all of these things are. It's in free agency, in coaching cycles, GM cycles. It's all like
like the Titans coaching search that landed Mike Vrabel.
Right. Or even Robert Saleh, right? Like obviously there's a vetting process that goes through this, but Robert Saleh, they skipped the preliminary interview. He came in and then he was hired later that night. It's it's like, oh man, that process that they went through of interviewing all those people, and it's as soon as Saleh's in the building, he's the guy.
Yeah.
It felt like the same thing with Chris MacFarland, but that's why you do the process of vetting and going through
and sometimes someone like a Mike Tomlin does surprise you.
Right.
Because it was Ken Wisenhunt's job in Pittsburgh. And then Tomlin came in and they were like, oh, well,
and that's why you go through the process.
Exactly. That's why I was just interjecting with you.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. That's why you talk to all the candidates you have available to you. Even if you had your eye on Chris MacFarland the entire time, there's a chance that somebody comes in and knocks your socks off.
And you're like, well, you know what? We don't need to wait for this guy because this guy is brilliant.
Right. So the Predators, they waited it out 4 months from Barry Trotz announcing he was stepping down to the hire of Chris MacFarland, but they have finally made the decision. Cory, I mean, I think with everybody, it's like you don't know exactly what Chris MacFarland was responsible for in Colorado. Joe Sakic, of course, is the president of hockey ops there, and he is the ultimate decision maker.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can pretty much safely say that Chris MacFarland had a large hand in building this Colorado team into what it's been, a perennial contender, a Stanley Cup champion back in 2022. So I think overall, he checks a lot of the boxes that you would have wanted in Barry Trotz's successor, especially being somebody who has a fresh perspective. He's not somebody that just was called up from inside the organization and can maybe bring some new ideas to this Predators team.
Well, I mean, like he's been there for 11 years as general manager. So he's been an integral piece of their scouting puzzle. And, you know, you hope even if he didn't make the picks,
right,
he was heavily involved with Joe Sakic on those picks. Now, you know, how old is Nathan MacKinnon? He's 27. So he would have just gotten there when they picked him first overall.
Yeah, he was 2013, so he was picked 2 years before.
Or he's 30, I think. Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, so
30,
so he's got nothing to do with Nathan MacKinnon, right?
No, he was there to pick Cale Makar. And Mikko Rantanen, I believe that was his first draft was when they took Rantanen. And of course he was part of the trade as well there.
Well, okay, so Cale Makar is the 4th overall pick. That's not tough, right?
Yeah, right. Okay. I mean, the 4th pick though, like you get past 1 overall, and there's usually
but some of those years you have like 4, and I can't think back to that year. But some years there's like 4, and then there's everybody else, or there's 3 and everybody else. We've had those years.
Yeah,
this year was a little different, where you had like 7 or 8 guys that were kind of jumbled a little bit.
Yeah, this year it was there wasn't
Brady
really
Martin.
right.
Yeah.
There wasn't as many like breakaway guys. Like this year, it seems like Gavin McKenna is going to be the number 1 guy.
Yeah, it's I guess what I'm just saying is like there's no magical formula to being a GM and saying I'm going to take Nathan MacKinnon first overall. Right. Hey, I'm going to take Victor Wembanyama. All right, I'm a genius.
That's why. Yeah, first overall picks. A lot of times, I don't think you can put a whole lot of blame on people who get it wrong.
No,
not in all sports, right? Like if Cam Ward isn't the guy, I think you can put blame on Mike Borgonzi for that.
He's the only quarterback to take first overall.
For sure. But like I saw, being a Tigers fan, I saw somebody complaining about, I can't believe the Tigers took Spencer Torkelson first overall in 2020. I'm like, he was the consensus number 1 pick. There was nobody else to take.
Sean Dunston to the Cubs.
Right. Like it's the same thing with Nathan MacKinnon. I don't know how much credit you can give because what else were you going to do?
Yeah.
The 2017 NHL draft, Cale Makar went 4th. Elias Pettersson went 1 pick later to Vancouver. Obviously would have been a good player. Guess who went 6th?
Don't know.
To Vegas, Cody Glass.
Ooh,
he could have taken Cody Glass instead of Cale Makar.
Yeah, that would have been bad. But look, the picks I give credit for are like Shea Weber in round 2.
Yes.
Or Ryan Rust was a late first round pick with the Penguins.
Yeah.
He scored a ton of goals. Those are the picks that I look at and go, yeah, that was a good pick. Kevin Kline in the 2nd round for the Preds. That's a really good pick. Obviously you've got like your 7th and 8th rounders in the past, like Pekka Rinne and Patrick Hornquist that look really good. But look, one of the reasons the Preds don't have a cup is because they haven't picked 1st, 2nd, 3rd and gotten those guys. Now Vegas has done it.
Yeah.
And they're close to doing it again.
Right.
But they're the outlier. They really are. I mean, nobody else does 3 cups in 9 years. Anyway, I mean, outside of the teams that win, like the Hawks won like those 3, and then the Lightning and the Pens have won a few.
Right, Panthers won back-to-back the last couple of years
when they picked in the top 5 multiple times and got multiple stars. But Vegas doing it the way they've done it is the outlier.
Yes, yeah.
Nobody else has pulled that off.
They went to the Cup in Year one.
Yep.
And they now have returned for the third time and are up 1-0 after a 5-4 win.
With 3 Preds grinders and a coach that they hired 5 games before the season ended.
How about Colton Sissons last night? That was a great pass to set up Hurdle for the game
winner. Eyes
winner.
in the back of his head. Put it right on the tape, right where he could just score immediately.
It was a great game one. I mean, Carolina coming down.
On News 2.
Yes, on News 2. Ehlers scores 30 seconds in to set the tone for Carolina. They go up 2-0. Ehlers scored both of the first 2, and then 3 straight from Vegas, back and forth. But it was Hurdle from Sissons that won it in the final 5 minutes.
Man, there was a huge cheer from our newsroom when that goal was scored because nobody wanted
no one wanted to go to overtime.
No one wanted to go to overtime. We don't get paid overtime when the game goes overtime.
That is true because, I mean, I kept it on and saw the news come on after the game. I was like, I'm sure that they're very happy that game did not go to overtime.
Yeah, they were. You know what, though? It was a great game.
Yes.
You didn't have to be a hockey fan to think that was a great game.
100%. And I'm excited for the rest of the series. We got Knicks Spurs NBA Finals starting tonight. So
good time
also,
on News 2.
News 2's got all the sports.
We are the flagship.
The next couple of weeks.
We are the flagship. Yep.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to join the conversation, our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Lots of reaction coming on the hire of Chris MacFarland as the Predators' president of hockey operations and general manager, and he will be introduced at 11 a.m. Again, we will carry that press conference live coming up in the final hour of the show. We will continue to react coming up next and talk about some of the big questions he faces now. Number one being what to do at head coach. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you on your Wednesday morning. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Ian ended Robbie and Rexroad with "Go New York, Go New York, Go." We're getting it going early here.
Man, I'm the only person here who was alive the last time the Knicks won a title.
Which was?
Oh yeah, you're right.
1973.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
1973.
I was 2.
Wow.
I was 2.
That is crazy. It's
So
been
to put in perspective how long this streak is, it is now 50% of the Cubs streak.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, they're halfway
that's
there.
That's crazy.
They're halfway there.
And
in a league with less teams, really? I mean, and less parity.
Right. No, that is true. And they're not the favorites in this series against the Spurs either. So we'll see if they can get it done.
You think about like why the Knicks, haven't won. You had to get through Bird, Magic, Dr. J era.
Yeah.
Then you had to get through, the Pistons and then the Bulls era.
Right.
But really after the Bulls era, it's been wide open.
LeBron?
The LeBron, but how many LeBron's got what? 4?
He's got 4, but like in the East, I think
3 different
he
teams.
went to 9 out of 10 at one point. So, but then the Knicks were just not very good during that time.
Yeah, no, they weren't. And so, yeah, I mean, the opportunity has been there. The East has been bad for a long time.
Well, right. That's why the East playoffs were pretty much a foregone conclusion every year that whoever LeBron is playing for is going to the finals because there was just nobody to compete with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last few years, there's been some parity. Boston's been one of the best teams most years.
When Tatum and Brown are both healthy, Boston's very good.
Right, which was why it was surprising this year that they went out in the first round.
It is, but Tatum also had just come back.
And he didn't play in Game 7.
Yeah, well, that's a problem.
Yeah. So I think the Knicks have a chance in this series, of course. The way they're playing, I don't think anyone could say that they have no shot. But
I think there are a lot of parallels, and I know the last guys were arguing about some of this stuff. But, I mean, I just think realistically, and I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, you're good.
No, I'm tired. There are a lot of parallels between the Knicks' run to the playoffs and the championship and the Patriots.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a good regular season. They're a good team. But in the postseason, things really fell their way.
Yeah.
I mean, really fell their way.
The Sixers, the Sixers are just not a great
They're
team.
trash, man. Come on.
They're not a great team. They got lucky to get by
They're the Broncos
Boston.
with Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah. No, and Cleveland, I don't know what was going on with Cleveland in that series. I think going up 22. And
what are you
blowing that
talking
game,
about? They have James Harden.
Right, but that's still they shouldn't have gotten swept in that series.
No, they shouldn't have, but they've got James Harden.
I agree.
That's what he does.
Yeah, he hasn't been to the finals since he was with the Thunder.
Yeah, what was that?
Was
that before the turn of the century?
Was
2013.
That was
right.
Yes, yeah, you're right. It was 2013. Because the next year was when they traded him to the Rockets, and him and Chris Paul got so close, but they couldn't beat the Warriors every year.
It's players like that when you're like, how come this guy is so good and he's played for so many teams?
Yeah, him and Russell Westbrook. I think you realized based on what happened post Kevin Durant that they can be good secondary pieces around a star player, but they were never going to be the ones to carry their team to a championship.
And I know people say, well, Corey, what about Durant and LeBron? And you're right. Why are they on so many teams? But I'll say they're on so many teams because they're constantly ring chasing.
Yeah, that's the culture of the NBA.
Yeah, they're just ring chasing. Harden's not ring chasing. He's
wearing out his welcome.
He's just ball chasing and cash chasing because he's not chasing any rings.
Yeah,
flopping.
James Harden flopping because he doesn't move his feet to actually play defense, so he just falls down.
Yeah,
the head bob it infuriates me. James Harden head bob.
The only superstar who is stuck around in the same place over the last 15 years is Steph Curry, and he didn't have to ring chase because he already had rings.
Well, I mean, Draymond stayed there.
Draymond's not a superstar.
No, but everybody in the league knows who he is, right? He had a definite role on that team.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just think if Draymond went somewhere else, he probably wouldn't have had same
I agree.
success.
Yeah, I mean, look, with the Atlanta Hawks, he's just a guy. So
yes, but Draymond, like, not to take anything away from Draymond.
I think Tatum and Brown have both stayed in Boston.
That's true.
Quite a while. Embiid has stayed in Philly, but he can't stay.
Giannis has been with Milwaukee.
Yeah, well,
he's probably gone.
I saw somebody put out a mock. Yeah, that's true. Jokic. I don't know if I put that, like, Steph Curry is a all-time superstar. I wouldn't put those guys in that conversation.
Jokic is an all-time superstar.
Jokic is getting
He's got more MVPs than Steph Curry.
Yes, he's only got the one title, though.
Yes, he's got more MVPs.
I don't know if I put him top 10, but yes, I agree with you that, yes, he is.
If you ask
somebody
30
stuck around.
NBA GMs, you can have Steph Curry or Jokic. You're going to get 30 guys who put their hand up for Jokic.
Right now? For sure, yeah.
Always. Their entire careers.
I don't know about that.
No, not the entire career.
Oh, yes.
Curry's the greatest shooter of all time.
Yeah, and Jokic is the best big man in the league for the last 15 years.
Not 15. He hasn't been in the league for 15
Okay, 10 years?
No, I agree with you right now, and probably within the last 5 years, if you ask me, would I take Jokic or Curry? Yes, I would take Jokic, but like 2015 through 18, when they were rolling to finals every year and winning championships, give me Steph Curry. I mean, he changed the game.
No, the rules changed the game. The rules where you couldn't hand check at the 3-point line allowed the Steph Currys to flourish.
Fair.
Now, you still have to do it. So I'm not going to disparage. I mean, look, I love Steph Curry. He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
But they changed the rules or enforced the rules to allow a player like Steph Curry to be great. And I would much rather watch a player like Steph Curry than watch the Pistons, Joe, throw people to the ground every 4 seconds.
I mean, yeah, it's a completely different style of game than what you saw back in like the
90s.
Right, the bad boy Pistons era.
The Knicks with Charles Oakley and John Starks. They're the same way.
Right. The game has completely
Pat
changed.
Riley's,
It's more of a perimeter game than it is a paint game. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We got Nate on the line who wants to join in on the conversation. Nate, thanks for calling. Good morning.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Yeah, man. So LeBron ring chasing. So I guess that Peyton Manning and Tom Brady was ring chasing too, huh?
Well, I mean, LeBron's played for Cleveland twice, Miami, where he was going to 8-peat, and then he went to LA with Anthony Davis. Look, there's nothing wrong with going and looking for championships. I'm just saying that's what he was doing. He left to win a title.
He was not ring chasing, man.
Oh, what was he doing then? Was he dollar chasing? Was he skirt chasing? What kind of chasing was he doing then?
Oh, come on, man.
Why did he leave Cleveland? Why did he leave Cleveland?
He left Cleveland because he felt like the organization wasn't doing enough.
So he couldn't win a ring, but he thought with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh he could win a ring. Did he go to another organization and start over?
Or whatever. What you mean?
Look, you know what I mean? He joined a team that just won the title.
People start new jobs all the time. When you take a job in Miami, if you had the
yes, but you know what I would also say? I'm going to Miami for more money and the weather, and it's awesome. I wouldn't hide from why I went there.
What you mean hide? You act like he wasn't the best player on the team.
I didn't say he wasn't. He went there because he had a better chance to win titles. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
No, that's Nate. I will agree with you. Going back to Cleveland helped him out of like, hey, I'm leaving the super team.
He won that title by himself.
Yes, but
don't nobody win by themselves. Come on, man.
Tristan Thompson win it for him? Come on.
Kyrie hit the shot.
He had Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie fell off the flat earth. Come on.
He had Kevin Love.
See, that's the thing about LeBron James that y'all don't understand. He elevates his teammates. Oh, he don't have a killer mentality. What is a killer mentality? Being a ball hog? No, he elevates his teammates, and he always makes the right play.
Look, you're not going to get me to argue with you that LeBron is great.
Yes,
LeBron is great.
He's not ring chasing.
Well,
and another thing, this nonsense about Steph Curry only being great because of the rules, man.
That's not what I said. I said they helped him be great because 15 years ago, 20 years ago, he would be thrown to the ground at the 3-point line.
Come on. Nikola Jokic got beat in the first round. What are we talking about?
How many MVPs does Jokic have? How many MVPs does he have?
MVPs. That's a media. Media
so,
award.
all right. So we're going to throw out LeBron's MVPs.
How many championships does he have?
You know what? He's pretty damn good.
Huh?
He's pretty damn good.
Does he have?
What is probably one, right? Is it one?
Probably.
Jokic has one.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm guessing.
Curry has 4.
Yes, he does. Yeah, you know what? Because Steph Curry is a great player who's a part of a great team, without question.
We appreciate the call, Nate. Thanks for calling.
There we go.
I agree with Nate on the Steph Curry thing. Steph Curry is
Steph Curry's great. He's an all-timer.
But you can't say you would take Jokic all time over Steph Curry.
I would.
Okay. All right.
I would. He's a triple-double machine.
I'll disagree with Nate on the LeBron James is not a ring chaser. Sure, going back to Cleveland, I think redeemed him a little bit, but he left Cleveland to go to Miami and build a super team to win a championship because he hadn't done it in Cleveland yet.
I will push back on the elevating of the teammates. He did not elevate Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was already great. And actually, Chris Bosh got worse when he got there.
Well, yeah, Chris Bosh had to find a different role.
Well, he did elevate everybody in Cleveland. I don't think he ring chased in Cleveland.
No, he didn't. He did not ring chase in Cleveland.
But he ring chased in Miami.
In Miami and L.A.
He redeemed himself in Cleveland.
I think in L.A. he definitely ring
No,
chased.
I disagree.
Yeah, because it was the whole thing he was going to get Anthony Davis.
No, he didn't ring chase in L.A. He went to L.A. because he wanted to be a movie superstar.
You know what?
That's why he went to go be a Laker.
I think there's some truth to that. And also, I think he wanted the legacy of playing with the Lakers.
Yes, I agree. He wanted to wear the Lakers.
This is a popular segment now.
That's fine.
It is hilarious because somehow we got here and now we've got the phones lighting up. We will continue this conversation coming up next. And again, we are leading you up to 11 a.m. when Chris MacFarland will be introduced to the media as the new president of hockey operations and general manager of the Predators. We'll get back into that as well. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game.
The LeBron lover.
Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Somehow we've gotten onto LeBron James.
I just said he was ring chasing, and apparently the world's gone on
all
fire.
roads in summer sports talk radio lead to LeBron James somehow.
Okay. You know what? When you're one of the greatest players of all time, that happens.
Mike in Lebanon texted in, says, we were finally talking about the Preds and the new GM, and now we're having another discussion of LeBron. No thanks. I'm sorry. We will get back to the Preds. We're spending most of the show today on the Preds, but we do have a couple of callers I want to get to before we do that. Ben is called in. Ben, thanks for calling. What you got for us?
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hey, you guys, I told you the other day, you do a great job. I love your takes on things. And I'm going to just spit a couple facts here. And this is for all the LeBron legionnaires. Nobody cares about LeBron. Nobody.
Wow.
These guys are spot on. He's a ring chaser.
Whoa.
Always has been. He's a crybaby. He's a flopper. He's an actor like there's nobody else.
He was really good in that Amy Schumer movie.
Never going to be the GOAT. Michael Jordan will always be the GOAT. I'm going to get all these guys in their feelings, but to all you LeBron legionnaires, just stay off the phone. Because you know what? You know who's not playing in the finals tonight? LeBron. That's who's not playing. And I'll hang up and let you guys do your thing. Love you.
Thanks for
Ben.
the call, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah, I'm prepared for all the, as he calls them, the LeBron legionnaires to text in.
I mean, look, I will always be a Jordan guy. I grew up in Chicago. You're not going to convince me otherwise. But, I don't dispute the greatness of LeBron. I mean, he's 20 plus years into the league, still playing at an incredible level. He's got 4 rings.
He's
got
the NBA's all-time leading scorer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, but that doesn't change the fact that he left Cleveland for a better chance to win a title.
Yeah. You can't say he's not a ring chaser.
No,
right? Like
you
the
can't.
Heatles that ended.
I didn't view that as an insult, by the way.
Right.
I mean,
it's not. It doesn't make him unique. Everybody ring chases.
That's just Karl Malone at the end of his career.
Shaq,
Charles Barkley,
Kevin Durant, his entire career.
I mean, Barkley went to to the Suns and the Rockets to try to win one. Yeah, I mean, guys do it now. Usually, it's guys who are looking for that one, but LeBron knows that his legacy will always be compared to Jordan and Kobe.
Right.
And the only way to hold yourself above those guys is with more rings. And so you can stay in Cleveland, hope things get better,
right,
and you win a few more.
Or take matters into your own hands.
Yeah, and go for the minimum 8-peat in Miami. It's surprising it didn't last in Miami.
For only 4 years.
And also, while it was dominant, it wasn't the runaway everybody thought it was going to be.
They went to 4 straight and only won 2.
And the crazy thing is he's been with the Lakers longer than any team he's been with in the league.
Yeah.
Which I was told that by Julian, who's a huge Lakers fan. Julian's a guy I work with. And I had no idea he'd been with the Lakers longer than he was with the Cavs.
He's been in LA for almost a decade now.
But really, I think that's been part of the problem is their only title came in the bubble.
Yeah.
And really a lot of their years have been really underwhelming.
Yeah. That's the only time they've been to the finals with LeBron, if I'm remembering correctly.
And you have him and Anthony Davis together. You expected that to be formidable.
Yep.
Formidable. And of course you need more players than 2. But again, I'm not disputing Steph Curry's greatness. I'm not disputing LeBron's greatness, but I'm not going to apologize for saying LeBron has left for better chances to win rings.
Yeah. 100%. I don't think you can dispute that. Dustin is texting in saying we have to get to his call quickly.
Okay,
so Dustin, go.
Boys, I'm coming in hot on the first caller on LeBron.
Okay.
Hold your line. I'm all over his bumper, and I'm putting donuts on both sides of the car, and I'm cutting him off when I go around. Buddy, LeBron James is the worst teammate anyone ever could have. If I was the worst, best, mid player on a team and they said he was coming, trade me. No trade clause is off. Trade me. Send me to Canada. Send me to the G League. I don't want to play with this dude. He is not going to play with me anyway. He's the worst teammate ever. Okay? He is a ring chaser. He's not a ring chaser. He is a LeBron James chaser. Okay? He is all about him. He is him. Him is he. And it's all about he and him.
Yeah.
This dude, okay, even if you say Michael and him are neck and neck, we'll take Space Jam to settle it. Space Jam 2 was awful.
It was. No, that's if that's the differentiating factor, I'm in.
We're gonna keep going. Hold up just a second. All right. So he's got the points, right? You know why? Because he's a terrible teammate. He's going to shoot first. He's going to go where he wants to go. Now, Michael started that way, but Michael wasn't dumb. Michael is a good man. Go back and watch the, was it Netflix series? Y'all know what it is.
Last Dance.
Well, how about this?
You go watch
Dustin?
that. When he started, it was all about him.
In this era, how they play defense?
Because of Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, Grant, Kukoc, Kerr, man, that was a dynasty. LeBron James is I don't even know. It's a terrible word, whatever it is, with a Y on the end, but he ain't a dynasty. It's all about him. It's LeBron-y. That's what it is. Anything bad is LeBron-y. He is a terrible person. He is a man of division. He divides on and off the court. And we won't get into his politics. I'll settle it right there.
All right.
Thanks for the call, Dustin.
I appreciate everything Dustin had to say. I'm not going to say LeBron's a terrible person.
No, he's not a terrible person, and he's not a terrible teammate.
Is he self-absorbed at times? Yes.
He also has the fourth most assists in NBA history. So,
the thing I with Jordan that I will always say, because it's hard to go era to era.
Yeah.
If Jordan played today in his prime, he'd score 40 a game. There's no doubt in my mind he would score 40 a game. I mean, that's it. And I don't want to get into Jordan or LeBron, Bob, or Kobe. They're all great.
Yeah.
If you think one is better than the other, congratulations. You have an argument.
Yeah.
You have an argument.
Right.
All right. All great. All amazing. LeBron, he's got a school that he pays for all by himself.
Yeah. Like, I don't think 4312 says he's a garbage human. Like, I don't like, let's not make this personal.
No,
he's not. You can like a player better or think a player is better.
And I mean, you could think he's not a great teammate. You can. I get some of that. I do get some of that. I mean, he there's a lot of times where you feel like he's blaming everybody but himself. Right.
Yeah.
And there was a time when Michael Jordan said, I need help. And he wasn't wrong. He needed help because that Bulls team was terrible outside of him. But, he also stayed, and you talk about elevating teammates. I know everybody loves Scottie Pippen, and I love Scottie Pippen, but if Scottie Pippen had gone to the Atlanta Hawks or the Charlotte Hornets, would he have become Scottie Pippen? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think he needed Jordan to achieve that level. I do. Because Jordan demanded it of everybody. Everybody got better around Jordan. I mean, John Paxson, B.J. Armstrong, all those guys elevated their games because they knew if they disappointed him, they were in trouble.
You could make the argument for LeBron too, though, of some of the guys who ended up having pretty decent careers that started playing with him that weren't like Matthew Dellavedova with the Cavaliers.
He disappeared, man.
After he stopped playing with LeBron.
Okay.
Look at Austin Reeves and what he's become.
Austin Reeves has become
Alex Caruso.
Isn't he the guy from like CSI Miami?
Alex Caruso? No, he's on the Thunder now. And actually,
I'm kidding. He used to play for the Bulls.
Yes, he did.
He is the epitome of YMCA player.
Yes, he is. The guy that rolls up and you're like,
oh no.
And
no, I don't want this guy. He's the last pick.
Drops 30 on your head.
He is the epitome of the plus minus.
Yeah.
Like, you don't look at his stats. You just look at his plus minus.
Right. Just look at the impact he makes when he's on the floor.
For some reason, he does all the stuff that the team's better when he's on the floor.
Yeah, I agree with that. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Maybe we get back into this later on in the show, but we do have big news today that we are reacting to and preparing for the introductory press conference for Chris MacFarland. So we are going to get back into hockey coming up next. 615-737-1025. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 The Game.
LeBron.
Today, the Nashville Sounds take on the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. First pitch is at 6:05, and you can catch all of the action on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks Family Leisure and Social Cantina. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly finishing up the first hour of the show. We got off on a little bit of an NBA tangent there.
We got a lot of passion, though.
We did.
On both sides.
I see, and that's why the tangent lasted for 2 segments, because we got people who wanted to interact.
No, they didn't want to interact.
They had to.
They wanted to explode.
Dustin was texting like every 10 seconds.
Take my call.
He was like, take my call. I'm in a yard. I need time is money. 30 seconds. So we got to everybody there. Maybe we'll revisit this later, but of course it is a big day here in Nashville. Yesterday, the Predators announced that they are hiring Chris MacFarland, the Colorado Avalanche's previous GM, to be the new president of hockey operations and general manager. And we talked about the process and how he ended up being here. Obviously, it took 4 months. But with Chris MacFarland, I said it to you, Cory, I think he checks a lot of boxes of what fans wanted. He has experience with a successful organization, and not just a successful organization. He has experience building a non-playoff team. Preds are not a playoff team. They haven't been the last 2 years, into a Stanley Cup champion. And he also comes from outside of the Predators family, gives you those fresh perspective. I think, honestly, I have not seen anybody have any complaints about this hire. Not saying that means it's a good hire, but I think this is a universally liked hire.
People complained about how long it took. But then once they saw who they got, they were like, okay, well, that's why it took that long. And I mean, look, it's like Borgo, all right, it's a good candidate.
Right.
I mean, it's a good candidate. There's nothing I could say about this. It's a good candidate. I mean, Chris MacFarland, what are you going to the only thing you can say is, well, Sakic really ran the team.
Right.
That's the only thing you can really say. And you know what? You'd be right. But when you look at candidates that you can get,
you're not taking
Joe Sakic.
Right. He's not. Colorado's not going to let him come interview for your job.
No, he's not. And so what do? You take the guy under him. I mean, that's why, Baltimore Ravens assistant GMs were really popular.
Yeah.
Because Ozzie did a great job.
Right.
And Ozzie wasn't leaving. All right. And Andy Reid's not leaving Kansas City. You're not going to get him. Okay. And, Chris Ballard goes from there to the Chiefs.
Right.
Great candidate. Hasn't worked.
Yeah. And that's, I think the Borgonzi comparison is perfect. You took the best team in the league and you took the number 2 and you said, you know what? Maybe he doesn't have anything to do with their success. And like with Rand Carthon, he was in San Francisco, which was a well-run organization.
But he wasn't their number 2.
He wasn't their number 2. He was like their number 4.
Yeah.
And that obviously it didn't work out. But with Mike Borgonzi, you were like, all right, Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls. He's clearly had something to do with it.
He's arguably the top candidate on the list for everybody.
And so that's why with MacFarland, I don't know if you can complain.
No.
9264
doesn't mean it'll work.
Right. It doesn't mean that he's going to turn the Predators into a Stanley Cup champion.
But he's the best candidate.
Right. But I don't think you can look at it and say, oh, this is a flawed hire.
No.
Right? Like they went and found one of the most qualified guys out there to take this job.
Yep.
9264 says there are people who are complaining that he just got swept. I would love to have a team where a Western Conference Finals loss is a big disappointment.
Yeah.
It reminds me of all the people who, when Virginia Tech hired James Franklin, I got a bunch of texts of enjoy losing the big games. I'm like, I'd love to lose a big game.
Yeah. That'd be in a big game.
That'd be great to lose a big game again. And honestly, I said this yesterday too, of like, how much does the GM of a team have anything to do with a team getting swept in the Western Conference? Like, you can argue they did not do enough with the goaltending position.
That would be the one thing
like
they
Mackenzie
did not.
Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood. That's not a great duo of goaltenders.
But they probably thought they had enough everywhere else to make up for it.
Right. Wouldn't they have liked to have Justus Onanen the way he's been playing?
Did they win the President's Trophy?
They did.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're the best team in hockey.
And they were from the very beginning.
And you've got those 2 goalies who carried you the best, who carried you to the President's Trophy. Now, we all knew that was the weakness of this team.
Yeah.
All right. And so, maybe, and that's why I said, would they like to have UC Saros? That might have been a team you might have been able to deal with.
Yep.
But Barry wasn't going to trade him, so that really kind of is a non-starter. But that would be one complaint. They didn't do enough at one of the most important positions in the sport.
Yes.
but they still have a cup. They
Yep.
still year in and year out are a cup contender. I mean, they're a team you mention every year that could win it all.
Yep.
And then this year, until they got to that third round, they were the best team in hockey.
Yeah.
And look, the Vegas is a freak show right now. They just are. I mean, no one does this. Although we see this in the NHL. We do. The LA Kings get in the last day as the 8th seed and win it all.
Yeah.
So, I shouldn't say we don't see this. We do see it.
Hockey and baseball are the two where it's like, if you're in the field, you've got a chance.
I feel like hockey is the most just crapshoot. Like, it's about matchups and getting hot, and it just happens because you see it. You do. I mean, shoot, in the NFL, we've seen 7 seeds and 6 seeds.
Right, yeah. I mean, like
the
the Titans were the 6th seed the year they went to the AFC
Arizona
Championship
Cardinals
game.
with Kurt Warner
right.
were the 7. I mean,
yeah, that was the year the Titans were the 1 seed in 2008.
Yeah.
And the Giants were the 1 seed on the other side and both lost in the first round.
Yeah.
Or in the divisional round.
Yeah, and they played the Steelers.
The Steelers, yeah.
Who the Titans beat in week 13,
yes.
I think.
Yeah, that would have been their matchup in the AFC Championship game.
And so, like I said, they're good every year. Now, that happens when you get Nate McKinnon in the first round and you've got Landeskog and then you get Cal McCarr 4th overall.
Right.
I mean, but they have other good players.
Yeah.
And they've developed those players continually. And, they do need to get better in goal. And I'm sure they're going to address that this offseason. But again, I'll say this, Brian Callahan was a great candidate. Didn't work. So I'm just going to say Chris MacFarland, great candidate. You can't say he's not a great candidate. You could, but you'd be wrong.
Yeah, you can say it.
It doesn't mean it's going to work.
Right.
But you just put yourselves in the best position possible to make it work.
Yeah. In terms of if you had listed out all of the possible candidates for this job, I think Chris MacFarland would have been towards the top. Like,
I hope so.
If somebody had the time on their hands at the beginning of this to list out just every front office executive who could be considered, I would think Chris MacFarland would have been up there.
You're not going to get the Stars GM,
right?
You're not going to
go.
You're not going to get an existing GM from a powerhouse team, right?
Right. And considering the alternatives that had been mentioned, a lot of them were assistant GMs, Darren York in Carolina, Bill Scott in Edmonton, Brett Peterson in Florida, or recently fired GM, Tom Fitzgerald. Like that, those were the names that were being mentioned. I really like the Chris MacFarland hire for the Predators. Matthew in Nashville says, well, to be fair, they shouldn't have won the President's Trophy because of the curse. Yeah. Do we start seeing NHL teams start if they're first in the league heading into the final month, just, hey, we're going to rest our starters for the Stanley Cup playoffs?
No.
Call up the AHL team so we don't win the President's Trophy.
I understand what he's saying because, it's a real thing. But you don't lose games because you're afraid of being good.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, you look at the only other place where I can think of the best team never wins is college baseball. Like that's been the whole thing for years. Is that the number 1 seed never ever wins.
I covered the Gamecocks when they were number 1. I mean, easily. They were like 57-5 or something, and they lost in the first round to Ooh La La, and it was just like whoa.
Well, Tennessee finally broke it. They were the first team in 25 years to be the number 1 seed and win the title.
Wow.
In 24.
How many number 1 seeds make it to Omaha? Like first overall?
Well, right. Like this is back-to-back years that the number 1 overall seed did not make their own regional final.
Wow. Who was it last year?
Vanderbilt.
Oh, wow. That's right. This seems like forever ago.
It does. It does not feel like a year ago.
Yeah.
But UCLA did it this year too. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Yeah.
St. Mary's.
They lost to St. Mary's, and then Virginia Tech had them on the ropes in the game too. They could have gone 0-2 in their regional, but they hit back-to-back home runs in the 9th to tie it.
Wow.
Yeah. And then lost to St. Mary's again.
And now Cal Poly gets the Mountain Mamas, fighting Mountain Mamas.
I'm excited for Super Regional weekend. You've got Troy and Little Rock for a spot in Omaha.
There we go.
615-737-1025. We will continue to react to the Preds hiring Chris MacFarland as their new president of hockey operations and general manager. big decisions on his desk immediately as he takes the job. The first one starts with Andrew Brunette. We'll talk about whether he should keep the head coach in place or find his own guy. We'll do that next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Second hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, joined by Cory Curtis from News 2 live in studio. Parker Kelly on the ones and twos. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. The Predators have made their hire as president of hockey operations and general manager Chris MacFarland, going to be introduced in a little under an hour. We will carry that press conference live, and going to be lots of questions about what direction he wants to take this team in. Yep. This team is at a little bit of a crossroads with veteran players that you're paying a lot of money to, but also one of the better farm systems coming up.
You hope so.
At least as expected based on what they have right now. But I think the biggest question for Chris MacFarland right now as he takes the job is, what are you going to do at head coach? And I'm sure that he is going to be asked that today. I would expect it's going to be an answer of, we're working through that right now. I'm going to talk with Andrew. There's not going to be any definitive answer one way or another. But I do think that Chris MacFarland, there are two really, I don't have a good answer one way or the other on it of, do you give Andrew Brunette a chance and see what he can do with you in charge and evaluate him personally instead of from afar? Or do you say, he's not my guy, he hasn't had success, I'm going to go get my guy right off the bat? I could see it going either way.
I'll just say this. He knows already.
I agree with that. Yeah.
He knows already.
Yeah.
And look, I think when you make this decision, I agree with you. It's the biggest decision because it impacts what you do with your roster.
Yes.
Right. So if you're going to keep Andrew Brunette, you've got to give him the players that work in his system. And that's not what happened. He got aging veterans who didn't skate quite as well.
Right.
He needs speed and youth.
Yep. It is funny that with Andrew Brunette, the times that he's had the most success is when they've gone young, right? Like
and
the 19-game point streak was when they went with the youth movement and they rolled and got into the playoffs. And then this past year, after the trade deadline, you trade away some of the older guys on your fourth line, you bring up young guys, and they started playing better.
Yeah, and when they're faster, which is the way he wants to play, they're better. When you saw Steven Stamkos, I mean, one of the reasons the Preds were better this year than they were last year, the biggest one is Stamkos. He adapted more to what Brunette wanted.
Yeah,
and because he had a monster year,
right?
And the Preds went from like one of the worst teams in the league to on the cusp of the playoffs.
Yep.
But still, and I'm not sitting here making excuses for Brunette. All right. If you want to fire him, go ahead. I mean, they've been in the playoffs in 2 years.
Yeah.
But I will say, the two have not been compatible. And I think that's been plainly obvious.
Yeah.
And, that's what you have to decide. Are you going to give him what he needs? Or are you going to find a coach who fits kind of probably what you want to do, and then also do those players work for that? I mean, because you still got to decide that anyway. But he knows who he wants to be his coach. He's been preparing for this. He's got his list. He's got his guys.
Yes, I would agree with that he is not going into this press conference without a decision made on Andrew Brunette one way or the other, but I don't think he's going to tell us today what his decision is going to be. I will say I saw this on Twitter, and I think it's a good point too, even though Chris MacFarland wasn't the one making this decision. When he joined the Avalanche back in 2015, it was Patrick Waugh who was there as the head coach, and they did give him another year. Joe Sakic and Chris MacFarland, that whole staff, they gave him 1 year. He didn't do very well. They went 39-4, and then they fired him and went and hired Jared Bednar. So at least in the one stop that we've seen with Chris MacFarland being in a position of power, again, not the ultimate decision maker, they did keep the incumbent head coach for one more year before deciding to move on and find their own guy.
So maybe he wants to look at it.
Right, and evaluate it hands-on personally, and maybe it doesn't last the whole year, right?
Yeah. I know. Now, he's also been in the West with the Preds. They've played them a number of times. He's got to have a pretty good idea of what Andrew Brunette is.
Yeah.
So, and maybe he decide, like you're saying, hey, I do want to look at him for a year.
Yeah.
I do think he's a good coach. But, he's probably got a handful of guys who's like, when I become a GM, this is the guy. Now, some of those guys may have jobs already.
Yeah.
So it may not be that simple, but I do agree with you. I think it's the biggest decision he's immediately got because it dictates everything else he's going to do.
Right. There's lots of decisions that have to be made on the roster, but you got to start by figuring out what you're going to do at coach. And I'll revise what I think he's going to say today. He could just straight up back up Andrew Brunette and say, yes, he's our coach.
Yeah.
Right. That is a totally.
If Andrew Brunette's talking today, that's a really good
sign.
sign.
If Andrew Brunette is there and up front, he's probably sticking around. And I think there is a chance that MacFarland just says, yep, he's our coach and moves on with it. If he doesn't say that, though, then I think that there could be a move coming. If he says we're evaluating that right now.
I mean, remember when Barry took over and Hines was the coach?
Right. It was the same answers of we're working through everything. I'm evaluating my options, and then they in one fell swoop they fired Hines and hired Brunette. So you never know. But that obviously is going to be one of the. I'm sure they'll go through the process, all those questions of, what was the process of being here? What made Nashville attractive to you? And then once they move past that stuff, what's going to happen with the coach?
What would you bet on? Like if you got $100 and you got to put, yes, he's back. No, he's not. Where would you put it?
I'm going to say no.
I
would lean no, but
I
would say it's more like 65-35, right? Like I think
I'd
it's
say 80-20.
8, right? Okay. Yeah.
They missed the playoffs 2 years in a row.
Right. And the 1 year he did make the playoffs, it was
quick.
You went down in 6 games. And if it wasn't for one ridiculous 3-week stretch, which you got to give him credit for, obviously, but they weren't a playoff team until February that year.
They were fun to watch. Those kids could get up and down the ice and play. They were fun to watch. 2 years ago, not fun to watch.
No.
This last
not
year,
at all.
First month of the season, not fun to watch. That's why I say you can't win the Stanley Cup in the first month of the season, but you can lose it.
Yep.
And the Preds are a perfect example.
Right. If the Preds had just been
average,
even a little below average, they probably are a playoff team this year.
It would. No, Vegas, they weren't one of the wild cards, right?
No, they ended up winning the Pacific.
Okay. Yeah. So
but they were in that mess of the Pacific Division.
Yeah, with the Kings and the Ducks
in March, where it was like, yeah, they're in first in the Pacific, but they're also 3 points away from being out of the playoffs entirely. So they weren't exactly comfortable in where they were. We got some questions on the text line here. Matthew in Nashville asks, are you surprised that the Avalanche didn't try to block the Predators from getting MacFarland? There were a lot of Colorado fans on Twitter that were pretty upset for their team not doing that.
No.
I think if we've seen this before across all of sports, if there's a guy in your organization who has an opportunity to get a promotion and get a raise and he's interested in it, it's not good business to stop them from doing it.
No, it's not. Because number one, those people have done their job for you. When you're a successful organization, you're going to lose people.
Yep.
And you prepare for it. And so you generally have Chris MacFarland's replacement kind of already being groomed and lined up, because as a winning organization, people are going to come for your people. It's part of doing business. And again, if you start blocking those people from getting promotions, good luck getting the next guy.
Yes.
Because am I going to go there and just get pigeonholed into this job and not be able to move up? And, as a decent human being, you're happy for those people.
Yes.
Like, Julian, my weekend guy, number 2 guy, whatever you want to call him. Look, if he gets an opportunity somewhere, I will be thrilled for him. I do not want to lose him. I love him to death, and he's one of my favorite people I've worked with. But if he gets an opportunity that's advancement, I'll support him 100%.
Right. I think that's how it's always worked across sports. Unless you are my top executive or my head coach, if you get an opportunity to move up to one of those spots, they're going to give you the opportunity to do it.
And if you are that person already, then I'm going to need compensation.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like Sean Payton getting traded.
John Gruden.
Right. John Gruden getting traded. Like that. If you're trying to take a guy who was or is my head coach, you are going to get taken. I think 8566 makes a good point here. He says it's easy. In any good organization, you want volunteers, not hostages. It would have been a massive mistake to block his chance. Right. If a guy is telling you, hey, this is a really good opportunity for me and my family, I want to pursue it, and you tell him no, morale's probably not going to be all that high moving forward.
And if you're the Preds, it's a good thing too, because he doesn't have to leave.
Right.
He clearly wants to come to your organization. He sees something there that says, yes, this is a place that I want to be. And that's good, because, there are places that guys go and they're like, I'm only taking this because it's one of 32.
Right.
I mean,
that's
reality.
I don't want to go here, but
it's
one of 32.
I don't want to sign with the Browns, but it's one of 32.
Right.
How do you think Todd Monken's feeling right now?
Got to make Deshaun Watson his starting quarterback.
Well, I'm about to pick first in the NFL draft. I'm going to be in position to get Arch.
Yeah, and I think that's why they felt comfortable trading Myles Garrett.
They got Verse, and now they've got the draft capital to move up to 1.
Yeah, we don't have a quarterback that we believe in on the roster, so therefore
the race is on between the Cardinals and the Browns and the Jets. 3-man race.
Yes, and the Dolphins.
Yeah, I forgot about their
Yeah,
gutting.
I would say all four of those teams. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. You can also join in on our YouTube channel. Subscribe at 1025 The Game for live shows and exclusive content. We're checking on your chats there as well. 615-737-1025. We talked about the coaching. Let's talk about some of the players that Chris MacFarland is going to have to make decisions on coming up. And again, at 11 a.m., we will send you out to Bridgestone Arena for the introductory press conference of Chris MacFarland as the new president of hockey operations and general manager. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Boxing fans, 102.5 The Game and Team Boxing League have your chance to win tickets to see the Nashville Smash take on the Atlanta Attack at Municipal Auditorium on Friday, June 12th. Text the keyword FIGHT, F-I-G-H-T, to the game text line at 615-737-1025 to enter for your chance to win. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Getting ready for Chris MacFarland's introductory press conference as the new president of hockey operations and general manager for the Predators. It's coming up at 11 a.m., and we will carry that live here. We talked about the coach. I think that's the most pressing question for Chris MacFarland as he takes over is, what are you going to do with Andrew Brunette? But you also have to ask the question of what direction is he going to take this team? You do have veteran talent on this team. Now, some of them may be past their prime, but you have Steven Stamkos, you have Jonathan Marchessault, Brady Shea, Ryan O'Reilly, Philip Forsberg, Roman Josi. You have talent on this team. Chris MacFarland is going to be tasked with the question of, do you build around this core that you have right now and try and go be a playoff team next year, even if you're probably not a cup contender this season? Or do you trade a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, who has been treated like he has no trade protection under the previous administration with Barry Trotz? Do you stay with that and give him that courtesy, or do you trade him off, maybe trade Marchessault to somewhere he wants to go and try and build for the future?
Look, I know in the past, the gate has been extremely important to this team because
yes, getting people into the building.
They've been one of the more cash-strapped teams in the league, ownership-wise. Whether it was with Leopold or they had like that amalgamation of people, of owners. Now you have an owner who's kind of uber wealthy. So does that make the gate not quite as important that you can? I think that's an important question. Can you absorb being one of the worst teams in the league if you decide to trade everybody off?
Yeah.
Because that's the question, really. It's not you trade one or two of them off. It's you trade off as many of them as you can and just totally retool.
Yeah.
Because, Ryan O'Reilly.
O'Reilly's the easy one because he does not officially have trade protection.
But O'Reilly, Stamkos, Marchessault, Josi, they're all 35 plus.
Yeah, or around there.
Yeah. So, they're all back 9 of their careers. And so, like you're saying, do you want to push with those guys and win some games? Do you think you've got enough to compete with those guys if you do it right? Or do you want to just, like some fans want to just blow it up and retool with this new young core that you think you've got coming up with Wood and Molendyke and Martin. And
Surin,
Evangelista, some of these guys. Do you want to do that? That's the question. Like the Myles Garrett trade, I think is a good trade for both teams.
Yep,
I do. And so, look, if you could have gotten that for Jeffrey Simmons, I probably would have been okay with it.
If they offered you that package, sure, yeah,
I would have been okay with it. I'm not just. I guess that what I'm getting at is I'm not okay getting rid of older players who are really good just to get rid of older players.
Yeah.
If you're going to deal these guys, you better get something. And get something, because they're still, Ryan O'Reilly is still a very good player.
He might be your most important player when you look at this team. Obviously Stamkos and Forsberg had 40-goal seasons, but it's funny. You just look at the difference between some of those guys on the wing playing with Ryan O'Reilly and playing without Ryan O'Reilly. The splits are pretty jarring.
Yeah. I would call Forsberg untradeable.
I think Forsberg, and I know they traded Shea Weber, so but
they got PK Subban in return.
Right. So if somebody offers you something for Roman Josi, I think you'd consider it depending on what the package you're getting back is. Yeah. But Josi and Forsberg, I would say I would be less likely to trade just because of what they've meant to your team. But everybody else, those aging guys, if you get an offer that is, valuable to this team for the future, I do think that this core as currently constructed is not going to get you back to being a cup contender. Now, Could you add a few pieces this offseason? Some of the young guys take a step and you're back in the playoffs next year? Sure. There's enough talent on this team for the Predators to be a playoff team next year. But I think maybe not all Preds fans, but a lot of Preds fans are tired of just being a playoff team and knowing that they're never going to get past the second round.
But you say that. You say that just being a playoff team. What are we just talking about with Vegas?
Yeah.
We saw it with the Preds. They were the 8th seed. You just have to get there and give yourself a chance. And, again, if you do enough where you're 10 points better than you were last year, you're a good hockey team.
Yeah.
I mean, look, outside of the first month, the Preds were a pretty good team. They weren't a great team, but they were a pretty good team.
They had stretches where they were really good.
Yeah. And so, they've got, look, they need to be better. There's no question. I guess what I'm just saying, like, if you're going to trade Ryan O'Reilly for a first-round pick to Dallas, you're going to get the 26th pick.
Yeah.
Is that worth it? No, that's not worth it to me.
And they've got so much draft capital.
Yes. But again, it's, I got to get something. I got to know, if I'm going to trade away, like even the Myles Garrett trade again, outside of all the picks, they know they are getting a good player back in Jared Verse, a really good player.
Yes.
Who's younger and cheaper.
And fits their timeline with when they think they can get a quarterback.
And now they've got more ammunition to get a quarterback. They've got ammunition to get their guy.
Yep.
And the problem with the NHL is you can't trade up to get that guy. Nobody trades out of that spot. Has anyone ever traded out of that spot?
No, because it's like no one says it's like, oh, Macklin Celebrini's there, but our center depth is pretty good.
Yeah.
No, we're taking Macklin Celebrini or we're taking Connor Bedard. Like no one really trades out of number one because you can never have too much talent in the NHL. Like in football, having 2 number 1 overall pick quarterbacks would make no sense because only one can play.
Well, okay, like say the Patriots lose Drake May in the preseason and they go on and go 3-14.
Yeah.
Which I would say is possible, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Okay. And so and they're picking first. Are they taking Arch Manning?
No.
They're trading out.
Right.
Okay, so they're trading out. We don't see that in the NHL.
Yeah.
Nobody trades out.
Yeah.
Because there isn't one quarterback in the NHL.
Right.
You got 4 lines of centers.
Yes.
And so you will find a spot for that dude.
And that's it. With the Predators, it's like we talk about, they've got so much draft capital.
Yes, they do.
They've
got so many young players that they want to see.
Right. And so what the Predators might be more likely to do is package some of that young talent, some of those picks to go get a player, a current NHL player. Somebody texted, and I think these are both big shots that I don't think are going to happen. But Caleb texted in and says, number 1 priority for MacFarland, trade for Austin Matthews or Tkachuk. And
which Tkachuk?
Brady.
Okay.
You're not getting Matthew, I don't think.
Okay.
But
he's in Ottawa?
Yes.
Yeah.
But like trading for Austin Matthews sounds great. I don't think the Maple Leafs are going to trade.
Look, Brady Tkachuk paired with Brady Martin, that's kind of the same player, right?
Yeah.
And you definitely have an edge to your team. You definitely set the tone for what your team is going to be. I don't mind bringing in guys who are good, but they've got to fit what you want to do at the same time.
Right.
And that's the problem that we've had the last couple of years here is the guys they brought in didn't necessarily fit what the head coach wanted to do. And he'll never say that because he's never going to bag Barry on that.
Right.
Then somebody says, do you want Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault? Everybody's going to go, hell yeah, I want those guys.
Right.
I'll make it work. But it didn't work.
Right.
Didn't work. But so, yeah, no, I don't disagree with all those picks and with all those young guys, going to a team and saying, hey, if you want capital, we want a player. We're here to deal. We want to be better.
Yeah.
And because you could get better in a hurry.
I think if the Preds want to get better quickly, that's their best move is go trade for an established NHL player. Now, it may not be Austin Matthews, but there are other guys out there who could end up being impact players. I mean, you got a first rounder this year, 2 seconds, 2 thirds. Next year, you've got a first, 2 seconds, and 4/3.
What if they wanted one of
Oh,
your,
wait, sorry, 3/3.
What if they wanted one of your young players you already have? Like, what if they wanted Wood or Molendijk or Martin for that matter?
Who's it for? Like, are we saying Austin Matthews?
Yeah, Austin Matthews or Brady Tkachuk.
Okay, if it's Austin Matthews, I think you would probably have to go multiple picks. So 10th pick this year, maybe a second this year and your first next year, plus prospect, and then maybe Luke Evangelista or something like that. I don't exactly know what the value would be.
I'm
but
just saying, would you be willing to part with one of those guys?
I think so.
I think you'd have to be. Brady Martin, I wouldn't, because you just drafted him 5th overall. You're counting on him being a superstar, unless you've seen something in him where you're like, I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
But I think, Luke Evangelista is a nice young player, but you can find another one.
I think you're right. I don't think Luke Evangelista is one of those guys that, like, man, he's untouchable.
Yeah.
I think you wouldn't trade Brady Martin probably, or
that's what I'm saying.
Or Igor Surin. Like, I think those are the two guys that.
Yeah. What about Molendijk?
I'd trade Molendijk.
Okay, you would trade Molendijk?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people think he's first-line defenseman.
Yeah, but again, you haven't seen it yet, and he didn't have a great year last year. Like, he was up and down, but I think the only untouchables for my prospects would be
Martin and Surin.
And honestly, I wouldn't want to give up Matthew Wood after what we saw last year.
I wouldn't want to give him up either, but to get Austin Matthews, I would.
If that was what it took.
Yeah. I mean, because I'm giving up a guy who's good for a guy who I know is great.
Yeah. And I don't think Matthews is likely. Darcy on the text line says Mason McTavish or Shane Wright are more likely than Tkachuk, Matthews, or Connor McDavid.
I mean, again, I keep bringing up the Myles Garrett trade. I don't think the Rams wanted to give up Jared Verse.
No.
You got to give up something to get something unless you're dealing with idiots.
Right. And did you see the Andrew Barry quote from his press conference? They asked, like, Rams offered you this. Why not start a bidding war? Like, why not bring that to other teams? And he goes, that's not what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
I'm like, why not? That's the same thing that Nico Harrison said with the Luka trade. They're like, you only negotiated with LA. Why wouldn't you bring that offer that was not enough to somebody else and see if they would beat it? And he goes, that wasn't the goal of what we were trying to. I'm like, shouldn't that always be the goal, to get the most value for your assets?
I think they didn't. I don't think they wanted it to be public. Number one,
I guess that, yeah. And
I think they wanted it to be on the down low.
And I'm sure they wanted to do right by Myles Garrett and send him somewhere
where he could win.
But
I mean, he's going to play 7 primetime games now, which is probably more than he's played in his entire career. I'm not even kidding.
No, I think you're probably right.
I mean, and I know you've done shows on this. I mean, that trade is a win for Cleveland, for LA, for Myles Garrett, and for the NFL.
Right. It is one of the rare trades that I look at and I'm just like, man, that made sense for everybody involved.
That made the league a better league.
Well, yes and no. The Rams now are the heavy favorite, but it is football. And it's like,
I get to watch Myles Garrett 7 times.
Yeah.
I could never say that before.
Right. No, it's true. It's true. The only teams it's a lose for are the rest of the NFC West.
They'll be all right.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We got some reaction on the text line. We'll get to that coming up next. Again, Chris MacFarland going to be introduced coming up at the top of the hour. We will carry that for you live and much more here on the show. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1-2-5 the game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you. Not talking a ton of football today, but when we do, our football offseason coverage is brought to you by Tennessee Brewworks.
Does that mean we're going to do it now?
No.
Ah, damn it.
Do you want to talk some football?
Well, yeah. I always want to talk football. You
always.
You know what? We got it.
Is that even a question?
We got a quick segment here. Let's do football here, and then we'll lead into the press conference.
Sure.
You know, we go with the flow
Let's go.
Our football offseason coverage is brought to you by Tennessee
There we go.
Brewworks. Finely
Now
tuned craft beer for finely tuned fans. Tennessee Brewworks, official craft beer of the offseason coverage on 102.5 The Game. We got much more Preds to get into, but we're going to hear the introductory press conference coming up at 11. We'll lead into that in the next segment. A couple of football topics. We've talked about the Myles Garrett trade. That one, I think, makes sense for both teams.
Yep, great trade.
A.J. Brown trade finally has happened after months of speculation.
You know, and here's what I think I told you this before the show. A.J. Brown is still a good player, a very good player. If you watch video of him his last year with the Titans, early years with the Eagles, he is not the same person, athlete that he was then. I mean, he moved differently then. I'm not saying he's not still a good player. He's still a good player. Is he worth a first-round pick? I think this year he will be, because he will be happy this year, and he will perform this year.
Yeah.
Inherently, AJ is an unhappy person, and I just say that because, like, everywhere he's been, he's eventually unhappy.
Yeah, it gets toxic at some point.
He just, I mean, like, so unhappy that it becomes uncomfortable. And what I will say about AJ is, if AJ was still playing at the level he was the first 2 years with the Eagles, he'd still be an Eagle. They're willing to trade him because he's not the same player.
Yeah.
That's why they're willing to trade him.
Right.
Because they would put up with it if he was
if he was still having 1,400-yard seasons, he'd still be an Eagle.
That's right, but he's not. He's barely a 1,000-yard receiver last year. And you can blame it on the system, you can blame it on the quarterback, you can blame it on whatever you want. The production isn't what it was 2 years in a row. He was just over 1,000 2 years in a row. And so, is he worth $25+ million? I don't know what he makes now.
They just extend.
Yeah, he got an extension, so he got even more. But so, and they drafted Jake Lyman. It was like everybody knew he was going, and they knew he was going to, because Vrabel loves aging veterans who are past their prime.
Well, he loves AJ Brown too.
Well, I mean, that's fine, but I mean, he's not the AJ Brown he had. Okay, just like, and I love Kevin Byard. He's not the Kevin Byard he had.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. You know, he loves Rupsich, who might be better than the Rupsich he had.
Andrew Rupsich.
But no, I mean, Vrabel loves aging vets.
He does.
He probably sees some of himself in all those guys. And you can, there's room for a few of those guys. There is, but you have to temper your expectations of them, because you're getting the player they are now, not the player that they were then.
Yeah. I was getting a first-round pick. I think that's a good deal for Philly.
I think it's a great deal for Philly.
I do think for the Patriots, they guarded against the possible return to earth this year of, you had the easiest schedule in the league last year.
Yeah.
And so
they've also got Romeo Dobbs.
Yes.
So,
but
it's not all on AJ.
Right. They got Mac Hollins.
Okay. They got Romeo Dobbs.
Kayshon Boutte is still on the team for now.
They've got Romeo Dobbs and AJ, so it's not all on AJ.
Kayshon Boutte's good for one highlight reel catch a game.
Didn't they add a tight end too?
Let's see.
I think they did. They needed to. I thought they would get Chig.
Yeah, Chig would have made a whole lot of sense. They have Hunter Henry, and then they drafted Eli Raridan.
Okay.
Is that Notre Dame?
Kansas.
Yep.
Okay, Notre Dame. Yeah.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. But, I expect him to have a big year.
I agree. I think he'll be a 1,200-yard, 8-touchdown receiver this year.
We'll see.
But I agree with you that eventually the welcome is going to wear out on one side or the other.
I would be surprised if it lasts more than 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple other things around football. What about Aaron Donald possibly coming back? Yesterday I thought it was more just like, all right, people are just bringing this up for no reason. But then I guess Jordan Schultz reported that Aaron Donald said he's considering it at 35 years old.
You know what? I'd consider it if I were him too.
Right. I mean, I would
He's
guess
got one ring, right?
He does have the one ring.
But he doesn't have to be the guy.
Yes.
He can just be a rotational piece.
Yes, they'd probably only ask him to play 30-40% of snaps.
I'd say 15-20 snaps a
yeah,
game?
right. Just bring him in there and have him try and wreck the game. But I said it yesterday. People making a big deal about like, oh, this unstoppable line with Aaron Donald. It's like Aaron Donald is 3 years out of the game and 35 years old. I don't think he's going to be completely unproductive, but I also know that he's not the Aaron Donald we saw the last time he was on the field.
I agree with that completely, but I do know I see workout videos with him still. Oh, he's still in shape.
He's still going to be a good player. Like, I don't think this is going to be Aaron Donald coming back and looking like an old man. Like,
I've still seen him eat like 4 pounds of chicken a day.
Right. I do not think this is Celtics Shaq or Wizards Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
But like, I also don't think that he's going to come back and immediately be 12 sack guy again.
Celtics Shaq wasn't good. No, but you know what? I'd like to see him out there.
It completed the Shaq rainbow.
He is.
Yeah,
he was spectacular.
I got to say, just like in terms of guys getting off the bus, Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald walking up.
Well, Aaron Donald's about 6 foot, maybe.
Well, yeah, right. But he's.
Oh yeah, no, he's built like a fire. He's a fire hydrant.
Yes, he is.
Okay, Myles Garrett's a redwood.
Yeah,
and he's a fire hydrant.
Right.
Now they're both unstoppable in their own way.
Yes, but
at least was unstoppable. I mean, look, when you talk about interior pass rushers. I mean, for a guy built like that to be that good of an interior pass rusher, that's insane.
No, he is one of one. And
yes, absolutely.
It definitely would not hurt the Rams to bring him back, but I think it would be overblown. People would be like, oh my goodness, Aaron Donald's back. Yeah. It's like, he's going to be a good player.
Yeah. So what else do we got?
Caleb Williams on the cover of Madden.
I'm excited for him, but as a Bears fan, I hate it.
Yeah, the curse.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the President's Trophy curse.
Nothing good happens. I'm terrified. I don't even know who our backup quarterback is.
Is it still Bagent?
It might be.
You forgot about Tyson Bagent?
The secret Bagent man?
His dad, who was a professional arm wrestler?
Yeah, he was the story of Hard Knocks that year.
Supposedly teams have wanted to trade for him.
It is still Tyson Bagent.
Yeah.
They have Case Keenum on the roster, too.
They paid him. They
Tyson did. Bagent. He's getting half decent money for undrafted. He was like D3, wasn't he?
D2, Shepherd University.
Shepherd, D2.
That's crazy.
Last thing on football.
Okay.
The college football playoff schedule came out. 11 days between the first round and the quarterfinals.
Okay.
And the national championship game is on January 25th.
Okay. When was it this last year?
I believe it was the week before. I don't know. But
so it's even longer?
It's later, yes.
Well, how many teams are in it?
Still 12. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think they've settled on 12 for this year, and now they're looking towards next year.
They could still change it.
Probably.
And maybe that's why they have the longer schedule.
Yeah.
Because to make room for more games.
It is 52 days from conference championship weekend to the national championship.
So we're still playing those stupid conference championships.
As of now. Yeah. Yes. And the worst part of it is the Rose Bowl has a TBD start time. It could be played at 8 p.m. instead of at 4 p.m., which is just horrible.
Oh, I don't care.
You don't care?
No.
It's like the one bowl game that still has tradition.
What's wrong with you?
Why do I care what time the Rose Bowl is?
Because it's tradition,
Corey?
But it's the mid-afternoon game on January 1st.
Every tradition out the window.
Okay, so we throw more?
I was going to say, it's the one that we have left.
Look, if it's the best game, I want to see it in prime time.
Oh, no. On New Year's Day?
The Rose Bowl? You don't want the sun setting in Pasadena?
You don't think the sun sets in Pasadena at 5 o'clock?
Well, it'll start at the beginning of the game.
Around when it's 4:30.
It's supposed to be like.
All I know is Vince Young scored and it was nighttime.
That's the last time that it was played, not at 4 p.m.
Oh, and you know what? That one worked out pretty well. We remember that game, and not for the time it kicked off.
This is ridiculous.
615-737-1025.
I don't like anybody at this station.
That needs to be clipped. We need that on like one of the Rex rant things.
We're on it. Along with your line about, I think he's better at quarterback than Tim Tebow. Every time I hear that, I know
it's
vomit.
Diego Pavia is a better quarterback than Tim Tebow. Not a better college football player, but a better quarterback. Thrower of the football. 615-737-1025 is the phone number.
Thrower of the football.
Yeah, I need to pull up that video of him in the windy day at Broncos training camp where he throws it and the ball just like butterflies to the ground.
My daughter can sling it now. She's got a rifle.
615-737-1025. We are going to finish up hour number 2 after this, getting ready for the introductory press conference for Chris MacFarland as the new president of hockey operations and GM for the Preds. We'll do that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Wrapping up the second hour here again. We are about 10 minutes away from the introductory press conference of Chris MacFarland over at Bridgestone Arena. We will bring that to you live coming up at the top of the hour. Dustin in Hopkinsville, when we're talking about the Rose Bowl, says, whoa, things are getting out of hand. Let's get back to Jordan versus LeBron to settle things down. I want that clipped of I hate everyone at this station. I want that as part of the next open.
That may be today's promo.
I'm a grumpy old man.
Hey, I love it. You give us the content that we need, Cory
right.
Curtis.
I'm not the hero that you asked for.
I'm the hero that we need.
Yeah.
That we get.
I'm the bad man.
Chris MacFarland going to be introduced to the media coming up in less than 10 minutes here. And I think we've gone through a lot of the big topics that we want to hear from him about. Of course, what made Nashville an attractive destination for him after a decade in Colorado. What's going to happen with the head coach is obviously going to be a question that's asked. But I think in general, there's going to be questions about the general direction he wants to take this team. And We've been waiting for 4 months here since Barry Trotz said he was stepping down to know who's going to be the next guy at the wheel, because it's a fork in the road for this Preds organization to decide which way they want to go to try and get back to being competitive.
Well, and they've got choices. And I think that, when you look at Barry Trotz and you're going to say, well, his time as GM was not successful, and you would be right because they didn't go to the playoffs. But it was successful in that he has handed the next GM a really good opportunity. I mean, you've got plenty of young talent in the system and plenty of draft picks in the future. So that GM can decide to go, which he can make trades to get players, or he can start over and build fresh. And so you say, what's attractive about the Predators? Well, they've got a good owner who's got plenty of money.
Yep.
And who wants to win and has shown some patience, right?
Yeah.
So
4 head coaches and 2 GMs?
I mean, so...
right, since Haslam took over,
but Haslam has shown some patience.
Yes, yeah,
and so those things are attractive, and then Barry leaving him with choices, with ammunition on both fronts, and they've got some good veteran players. So I think historically strong fan base, good building which is being renovated even more. I mean, there's a lot that makes it an attractive job, and why you would see a guy leave Colorado to come here. So it'll be interesting how much he talks about that stuff as well, because he's not going to give away what he's doing.
Yeah. No, he's not going to say, all right, here's my blueprint for the offseason, and this is what we're going to do.
We're going to jettison everyone.
Right. But I think you'll be able to glean kind of an idea of whether he thinks it's this year they can be a playoff team, or I remember Barry Trotz early on after he was announced as taking over for David Poile. He said sometimes you have to take 2 steps backward to take 1 step forward. And I think that was his plan. Now they overachieved and he decided to make a go for it move. Well, and it didn't work out.
They overachieved, and then Steven Stamkos became available.
Right.
And who doesn't want him?
Agreed.
Right? I mean, 555 career goals when they signed him.
Yep.
And so, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I get where you would say, hey, we got pretty good there at the end, and now we add this Hall of Famer. We should be better. And then we get a veteran, Brady Shea,
right,
who's on a really good team.
Conn Smythe winner, Jonathan Marchessault.
And for whatever reason, it's like we talked about with MacFarland.
Yeah.
You get the best candidates. It doesn't always work.
Right.
Brian Callahan was a great candidate with the Titans. He was.
Yep.
There's other teams that wanted to hire him.
There's a big difference between on paper and in practice.
Yep.
And on paper, Chris MacFarland seems to be a great hire, and he is going to speak coming up next. We will carry his introductory press conference live right here. Coming up next, Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. We start off this hour sending it out to Bridgestone Arena, where Chris MacFarland is being introduced as the new Predators president of hockey operations. We're getting things set. Oh, there we go. We got it.
What you don't know is what really struck me about him, and that's the kind of person he is. Chris is somebody who, we talk about being comfortable in your own skin. That's who Chris is. He is who he is. He has the self-confidence combined with humility to be an extraordinary leader. And that's in addition to his resume, why we picked him. And third, you're going to get to, I think Chris will introduce him in a minute, but he's got a terrific family, and his heart is with his family as well. So he is going to fit perfectly in Smashville, and you all are going to come to appreciate him like I have over the last period. When we started this back in February, you remember we hired CAA to help us do the search, and they ran a little trouble with the Players Association and had to leave the search. But they gave us an initial list of people, and when they did, I looked and I said, wow, if we could get Chris MacFarland, that would be terrific. Now, there was a little problem in that he had a year left on his contract with the Avs, and they were winning, and he wasn't going to be available for a while. And so we set off on really a really intensive search. And to be honest with you, as a fairly new guy to this, it was incredibly helpful for me. I learned a lot about this business, and I learned a lot about our organization, even from talking to other folks. It was very, very helpful. So when we finally could talk to Chris, we immediately took every advantage to jump in there quick with a conversation, because I knew that we would have an opportunity, but it wasn't a given thing that he would like us or that the Avs would say you can talk to him. So I want to start by saying I'm really appreciative to the Avs to, I think, doing the right thing for somebody that they had a great appreciation for. And I'll say up front, they didn't let him go easily. They were, this was a, they were very eager to keep Chris there, understandably. But we, like I said, talked to a lot of great people through the process, incredibly helpful. One of the things I learned that I already knew, actually a couple of things. Number one, this is a great opportunity. This city and this franchise and what's been built here is a great opportunity. Second, hockey's a really small world. The players and other people who are around know that. While we couldn't talk to Chris initially, we could find out a lot about him. When you talk to other great general managers and president of hockey ops around the league, and I said, if you were me, who would you go get? And Chris's name came up time and time again from the very best people in the league. And then you talk to other folks who were just associated and knew him from his time in the Avs. They all said the exact same thing. So took patience, took a little persistence, but I'm really thrilled to announce Chris MacFarland as our new general manager and president of hockey operations for the Nashville Predators. Chris, welcome to Smashville.
Wow. I don't think I know I'm not going to talk as easy as Mr. Haslam here to my left. He's pretty good at it. And thank you for the very kind words. I hope you'll tell me who those National Hockey League GMs were that were saying all those nice things about me, but certainly appreciate it. There's lots of people that I have to thank. So bear with me here for a few minutes. Myself, my family, we're thrilled to be here. Like Bill said, this is an incredible organization. I know a lot about it from coming here, and I look forward to getting to know a lot more. But I have to start by thanking the Kroenke family, Stan, Mr. K, as I call him, Josh. For 11 wonderful years, they treated me and my family incredibly well. They were great owners. When we needed something with all the entities that they have and the responsibilities, it was always, yes, how can we help? And I owe them a great deal. for this opportunity. And they were always there. So thank you, Stan. Thank you, Josh. Much appreciated. To Kevin Demoff, who I got to know in the last year. He's the CEO there of Kroenke Sports, another huge asset and pillar in that organization. Again, who helped the Avs immensely and was a massive part of the operation. And I owe Kevin a great deal of thanks for helping with this transition. Thanks, Kev. This is where it's going to get tough for me. My 11 years there, those with 11 years, we had very, very few coaches. But Jared Bednar is one of the best people, great coach. He knows what I think of him. Nolan Pratt, UC Parkala, Brett Heimlich, Mark Popovic, Dave Hackstall. It was an honor to work with you guys, and I know the Avs are in great hands there and will continue to be. And just a couple of other, coaches, Patty Waugh, Sean Allard, Toby Peterson, Ray Bennett. Thank you. Dave Farish as well. I think that is the list. And, and not just in hockey, but I think in sports in general, that's not a lot of coaches for 11 years, which I think speaks to their talent, their commitment, their hard work, and their success, their work, I know is a huge part of my success as well. So I thank them tremendously. The Avalanche staff, the buildings here are very different. In Colorado, we have a small office with just sort of the hockey contingency. So I'm really looking forward actually, to this setup, because it'll be easier to kind of meet the nuts and bolts of everyone that kind of makes the Preds tick. And I'm really looking forward to that. But I would be remiss if I didn't thank the incredible people that I had the opportunity to work with, assistant GMs and Kevin McDonald and Andrew Cogliano, Andrew Wilson, and Susan Borchard on the hockey side. When you're a general manager, you need people that you trust, that are going to be in the battle with you, and they did a great job to make sure Joe and myself didn't fall out of bed, and carried a lot of the heavy lifting, and owe them a great deal of thanks. And the support staff, and Brandon Walker has been a massive help, and here in this transition, Brendan McNicholas and Aaron DeGraff in Colorado are some of the best people at what they do, in addition to being fantastic lifelong friends. 11 years, that was a long time, and the Avs players, I know, a lot of my success in my career is due to the work of a lot of other people. And when we first got to Colorado, we had a rough second year, and again the Kroenkes and stuck by us, stuck by Jared and our team, and under Joe's leadership, we were able to work a plan and got a little bit better each year, making the playoffs on the last day of the season after that rough second year. But I think the building
jobber payments is super dope because the clients can just pay the invoice and leave a tip.
And I want to thank the players, past and present. It's not lost on me. Bear with me. That I love them. To Joe, Deb, and the entire Sakic family, I know you guys are going through a tough heavy lifting spot with the passing of Claude Lemieux. I just want to, give you my condolences, and we're thinking of you. Joe, you took a flyer on me 11 years ago. You actually listened to Craig Billington. I know you guys probably don't know Biller, but he's a huge part of the fabric in that Denver organization, was a longtime goalie and an assistant GM at the time. And he kind of connected me and Joe. And Joe was a mentor and a lifelong friend, massive for me and my career, and I will miss him. working with him was a dream opportunity for me, and I owe him a massive debt of gratitude. Special thanks to Deb for her friendship and kindness to me, Chan, and our family. Joe would get a lot of late night texts from me for 11 years, and she would always, give me a shot or two as to why they needed to come at all times of the day. But she got it, and the stuff she did for us and welcoming us to Colorado was big. To my wife, Chan, sitting right here, you're the reason I get to do what I love to do. And I'm a general manager in hockey, but my wife is the general manager of our family. She's the marketing person, the medical director, the team services person. She raised 4 kids. And
your kids would tell me that she's a technical director too, because you can't do anything.
That's fair. And she's done an amazing job, and I'm super proud of her. And thank you. To my children, who 2 of them are here. Our oldest works a few hours to the north, I think. So we're closer to him and super excited about that. Jake, Kara, who's here, Gavin, and Sawyer, who's not here. He's our hockey player back home in Colorado, and Brett, Kara's boyfriend, made the trip. So thank you guys. I think this group here will get used to the blue and yellow pretty quick. Sawyer, I'm going to have to work on. He had the Columbus tattoo for a long time, and eventually he's got the burgundy and blue. He's not super thrilled just yet, but we'll get him there in time. We just got to get him out here, I think. So he's dug in right now, but we'll work on that. To this guy right here, and Chrissy, thank you. Thank you for the trust that you've put in me, and the faith you've shown. It's been a pleasure to get to know you and Chrissy, and super down to earth, super easy people to talk to, and you can tell there's a genuine quality of about them, and that for me is massive. The relationship part of what we do is not just going to be on the ice, it's going to be off the ice. We're going to win together, we're going to lose together, we're going to laugh together, probably going to cry together, as I've almost done here a few times, like a yo-yo. But I just want to say thank you. It's been a pleasure to get to know you. And the one question I think that kind of really sold me on it when Bill and I were talking was it was going to take a hell of an opportunity and situation to get me to think about leaving Colorado. I loved everything about it, as I think you can tell from the players and the team there. Was very attached and still am to a degree. I'm not going to lie. I wish them the best, but I said, Mr. Haslam, is the goal here, to make the playoffs, make a wild card, feel good about that and high five each other, or is the goal here to build a team that can compete and try to bring a Stanley Cup to Broadway? And he didn't hesitate. The goal here is to try and win. And that's really, quite honest, all I needed to hear. The city speaks for itself. Your organization speaks for itself. I've come here as a visiting GM and scout, for 25 years. When he answered that, that got me really excited, because sometimes there's short-term pain, sometimes and I'm not even sure it's pain. For me, it's just part of the journey. It's part of the process to building a team that can win consistently and have a chance. And it's really hard to win in this league. It's the best league in the world, in my opinion, and you need a lot to go right. To try and do what Vegas and Carolina are doing right now. So that answer to me, was everything. So thank you. Super excited to get to work. I got to give a special props to the search committee, and I'm still getting to know the names, but Sean here, I keep wanting to call him Shauno. I don't know why. I just need a nickname for everybody, I think.
That's what it is now, I guess.
Yeah. Michelle, I got to, pretty unique opportunity to chat with, call him coach, but Nick Saban, obviously, one of the members of the ownership group here, and Chris as well. And, thank you to them for their faith. And obviously Bill leans on them, and they were tremendous people to talk to during this process. I think everyone knows that Nashville is a destination spot, not just to come in and have a good time, but I think players want to be here. It's a great city. I've heard it's a tremendous place to live. My time, like I said, was coming from the Gulch to walking to the arena as a scout usually, but we can't wait to become part of the community here and to dig in with my new teammates in the organization, and super excited. We might, like I said, trust the process, enjoy the ride. I think we want to build something here, and I want to just be a part of the team here, and we want to get the little kids in Tennessee, get the tattoo on them from an early age, so that we can ride through the challenging years, enjoy the great years, but make hockey something that's in the blood of every young Tennessee fan, and build something really, really special. I'll just close. I'm gonna have to get used to this fang fingers thing. It was easier as a scout, to be honest, because you're not invested emotionally in the game. But when I, come in here with the Avs or the Blue Jackets, that thing drove me nuts, because it usually meant something bad might be happening with the likes of Shea Weber and Subban and some of those guys. But thank you for welcoming us. I really look forward to meeting everybody. Bear with me on the names, and thank you.
Chris, Bill, thank you very much. We will open up to questions now. We are using the mics. If you could please state your name, your outlet, so Chris can get to know you, and who your question is directed to, that would be great. We'll go to Alex.
Hi, Chris. Alex Darty with the Tennessean. Welcome to Nashville.
Hi, Alex.
What was your pitch in the interview on how to turn this team to a Stanley Cup winner like you did with Colorado?
Well, I'll start by saying I didn't do it. I was part of a team that did it, and there's never one person that can do it, no matter what. You need to marry the scouts, the analytics department, your coaches, and most of all, the players. At the end of the day, it's the players on the ice, and we've got to build something that gives them the best opportunity, that's going to maximize their abilities to do it. And when you can get collaboration, and for me, it's this, when you can build something that, the glue of your team, and all those pieces are humming together off the ice and on the ice and through ownership, ultimately, then I think special things can happen. And I think, again, I go back to, Joe, right? Who I had the good fortune of working with, and from the second I walked through that door, that was the plan, on the ice and off the ice, to be first class. No matter what the record is, we are going to do things first class, and we are going to build something special, incrementally, by small step by small step, and sometimes that takes time, and sometimes that takes honesty about where you're at in an organization, honesty with the players and the coaches, but that's and the fans, and the narrative to the people of the Preds fans, whether they're in Nashville or in the throughout the land. But that's what we're going to look forward to try and do here. And I think Bill and I got into the weeds on a lot of different things, and obviously there's work to do here. We're not where we want to be, but there's a lot of good pieces here, and there's a lot of draft capital, but ultimately the results happen on the ice, and we just want to put our players and the team in the best position to have success, and make life as easy as for them off the ice so that they can focus on the job at hand, which is trying to win hockey games, which is not easy to do in this league. So.
Chris, Brooks Bratton, NashvillePredators.com. Great to see you. Welcome.
Thank you.
For you, you've touched on the emotion of leaving a place like Colorado, but the attractiveness of a position like this to not only be general manager, also president of hockey ops, and the chance to really shape this franchise for the foreseeable future. How attractive is that? How do you view that opportunity right now?
Well, it's very attractive. There's so many things to like about this organization, and you know, there's only 32 general manager jobs in this league, and it's an honor to work in the National Hockey League. I dreamed about being a scout, you know, when I was trying to figure out how I was going to do this, and then, you know, whether it's through, you just hope, you know, your work and your grind and that sort of thing, and you trust people. And I had the great fortune of working with great people in Columbus, and became an assistant GM, and that was through the help of a lot of people, you know, Scott Housen, you know, Mike Priest, and the people in Columbus, you know, put good trust and faith in me, and then you go to Colorado 10 years later and continue to be blessed with good things and be around good people, and you get your Joe Sakic, you know, turns the reins over to you when he didn't have to do that to become a general manager. So, you know, you know, did I ever dream of being a president? No, you don't think of that, but it is an honor for me to be in the National Hockey League. Every day, I don't feel like I've had a job, but for me, it's a passion, and it's a blessing. But to be able to do it here, to work, you know, with people like this and everyone here that I look forward again building relationships with, it's a super honor.
Adam on the right in the middle.
Hi, Chris. Adam Vingan from 102.5 The Game. Welcome to Nashville. Congratulations on the new job. I'm going to piggyback off of Alex's question. When you look at the current roster, plus the prospects in the pipeline, how close do you believe this team is how close do you think this team is to truly competing for the Stanley Cup again? And how will that dictate your approach in the near term?
Again, it's a fair question. I think, you know, I just got here, right? So I feel like I have a good handle on the team and the prospect pool, which is very attractive, right? But it is super attractive, but prospects have to be developed, right? And they all come at different times. Some need time to cook, some, you know, pop quick, and become, you know, staples of the franchise. We're going to let them, they'll tell us when they're ready, type of thing. I'm going to need time to poke around under the hood here and to truly get a feel for that, you know, and some of it might not come until the fall and rookie camp and training camp and the start of the season. I always say, you know, at least the players will tell us, you know, how the season starts, where we're at. You know, we didn't make the playoffs this year, but there's turnover every single year. There is the danger of that we're in the mushy middle, right? So those are all kinds of things that we're gonna chat about internally, and we'll figure it out. But there's lots of good players here. There's lots of good prospects, and there's picks, you know, that will either be used to continue to build the prospect pool here and in the right age bracket, in my opinion, and or be used to acquire, you know, a certain level of assets. So I've got a lot of things to kind of, you know, work through here between now and the draft, and getting to know internal staff and the infrastructure here, which I'm super excited about. I know there's good people here, and I really look forward to getting to know them. That's kind of step one. But, you know, to answer your question, we're going to look to get better. How quick that happens, you know, again, the players will dictate that. And I think I got to Colorado and right around this time in May of 2015, and there had been some good players drafted there, right? So, you know, the Nathan McKinnons, the Gabriel Landeskog's, the Matt Duchene's, and you know, we got into the playoffs, but we had to go through the narrative, right? The second round and threw it up over our shoulders 7 years later. Again, it's hard. It's a really hard thing to do, but I think the first step is to get the foundation right, get the right people in place on the hockey side, and to work with the players to help them maximize their abilities, and then we'll go from there.
Hello,
Hey.
sir. Chris Harris,
Hi, Chris.
WSMV. Nice to meet you. Welcome to town.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yes, sir. Kind of along those lines, what will your process be like relative to making decisions about the coaching staff, and where does that fall in the pecking order of things that you have to do immediately?
Again, it's very similar. I know Andrew Burnett a lot from the scouting circles and in the past. I know he's a very good person. Derek McKenzie and Luke Richardson, I had the good fortune of having as players, so I know them a little bit during my Columbus days. So, I'm going to call all those guys this week. I'm going to meet with, when Jeff Keelty and Scott Nickel and the staff, get back from the combine. We're going to bring the pro guys in next week to get up to speed, and I'll chat with Brew, today or tomorrow, and we'll, like I said, I got to get a feel for things before, looking at all that type of stuff. So, but I look forward to chatting with Brew here today or tomorrow.
Chase in the back on the left. Or on the
Chase
right.
McCabe, 102.5 The Game and Predators Radio. Welcome to Smashville, Chris.
Hi, Chase.
You obviously have seen a few times what a game-changing forward can do for a franchise, and that's something that this organization, like every organization, obviously looks for. When you look at the draft assets and some of the roster assets you have, how will you try and go about acquiring a guy like that, like a Nathan McKinnon, for this franchise?
Each employee's healthcare needs are unique. Shouldn't their coverage be as well? Group plans are...
You usually have to go through some pain to get those guys in the draft, and the acquisition cost on those types of guys in the marketplace is astronomical, to be quite frank. So I think we've got it. This 10th pick is something that I'm super excited about. There's lots of different ways to skin the cat, but the franchise, the true franchise player it's usually drafted, and it's usually going through some organizational. I don't like the word pain. It's just part of it's part of the journey, right? Whether you look at Jonathan Taves and Patrick Kane and Sidney Crosby of Jenny Malkin, and those teams were good for a long time because of that process, and Colorado was no different with the likes of Nathan McKinnon and Gabriel Landeskog, two giants in that lineup, in that room, and then you sprinkle in a Cale Makar and presto, right? But those guys aren't readily available, and in some years when you're picking high, that type of talent isn't in the draft. So it's a challenge, right? But I think what I can say is, whether it's a trade, a free agent, or whatever, we will leave no stone unturned. And I think you can build a competitive team that can win hockey games and be dangerous in different ways. And we will be ready that if there is an opportunity to strike from the outside, we'll have done the work, we'll be prepared, we'll have the information, and be ready to go. But to get I wish that we can bring Nathan here, because he's a.
Wait, I thought this was a package deal.
Yeah, but he's there, and he's there for a long time. He's a rock star player and human and massive part of my success. So, but those guys are hard to get and hard to acquire.
Hey, Chris, Gentry asked this from the Tennessee, and you mentioned the mushy middle, and that's a phrase we've heard a lot maybe here with this team lately. You've talked a good bit about different ways to do this, but in your opinion, in order to break out of that, does it require being really bad before a team can be really good?
No, I don't think so. I think, like I said, there's different ways. There are star players drafted at various points of the draft. I do think, the draft is key, though. I think you can get, really good players at the various parts of the first round. In Colorado, we ironically had pick 10, we're, fortunate our scouts did an unreal job, and Mikko Rantanen was, added to the mix. And I mean, we all know how good he is. So you just got to keep building good player upon good player, and putting them in good situations in your organization and the development of those guys. And then when there's an opportunity to strike, whether it's, a trade or whatever, then you got to be ready to do it. I do think the focus for us in that area is going to be a certain age bracket, just being totally honest. Like, I don't see us as looking to trade massive assets or young assets for a certain level age of player. I do think we got to be mindful of that. But I think there's lots of different ways to improve. And talking to the hockey guys here, like they signed Vitaly Pinchuk, right, a few weeks ago or a month ago or whatever that was. And, if you can find a productive player, whether he's a third line center or a number 5 defenseman, and you do that without using draft capital or, making having to use assets to make a trade, you just got better, right? So I think that's those about here, whether it's a college free agent or continuing to look in Europe, we'll continue to mine for gems that way as well.
Yeah, if I can throw in one quick comment to that, Gentry. I was watching last night, Carolina and Vegas, like a lot of you all were. And those are two pretty different ways to build a team, right? Vegas, I think, maybe has 1 or 2 draft picks on their whole roster. And Carolina has their core, their out of draft picks. So I don't think there's only one way to get great in this league.
Chris George Plaster, 94.9. Welcome to Nashville. Help us with the timeline a little bit. First of all, when the job came open, did you kind of say to yourself, man, this is one I'd like to get in the middle of? When did you find out they were interested, and when did y'all do this?
The answer to your first part, no, right? Like the job, Barry's a good friend of mine, and we've chatted numerous times over the years and made a few deals together. So no, I'm in Colorado and super excited and super content to work with Joe, and we were trying to do what we were trying to do. So that was my focus on. I think Bill and I had a long chat yesterday, and Nick and Sean and Michelle in the group. So, when you get word that a team has reached out, then like Bill said, I have a contract. I was super happy there, but it was a whirlwind for sure.
Yeah, I'll throw this is George. This is a little bit like when I was trying to get Chrissy to marry me. The salesmanship was all on one side. Okay.
We'll go back to Adam.
Question for Bill and Sean, because I don't want you to feel left out.
I never do.
This process, because of where we are in the South, there is a lot of interest in Nick Saban's role in all of this. How much influence did he wield throughout this process in finding Chris?
Yeah,
the guy, we all know he's a winner, right? Biggest winner we all know. But the presence that he has and the way he evaluates things, it changed the entire interview process for us. There are times where we're looking at him saying, oh, I wish I asked that, or I wish I saw it that way. But the other is the credibility that he gives you when he reaches out, to Chris and they talk. It just changes, everything that you can do or would do. But I think it made the entire committee a little bit, better in how we approached it, how we evaluated it. The amazing thing after each interview was his process, as he analyzed what he heard, why he heard it, what he thought wasn't said. And saying it's impressive is such a slight to him. It was incredible, right?
As you all know, Nick believes in process in a big way. And so he brought that same mindset, A, to our process of hiring somebody, but B, as he was questioning people and he was involved with everybody we talked to, you could see him drilling down, well, okay, then what? Then he doesn't ever take the easy first answer. It's like, ask the next question, and then the next one that sometimes you don't want them to ask, but he'd ask that. So incredible. Sean nailed it. Incredibly helpful, and really thankful that he was willing to, jump in and be vitally involved in the process.
Someone tweeted out, he's a great recruiter still. And this is evidence of it. It truly, truly is.
Russell on the right.
Russell Venozzi, Main Street, Nashville. Chris, welcome to town.
Thanks, Russell.
I know a couple seasons ago you were on the other side of the Eustace Oniden trade.
Yep.
What have you made of his improvement since that trade, and what are just your really early thoughts on the goaltending situation here?
Super happy for Juice. As the staff here told me, there's big juice and little juice here in the net. And I think, when we drafted Annan in there, our scouts were super excited on him. I think, for us at the organizational cycle that we were in, we got off to a little bit of a bumpy start that year, and there was a lot of pressure and the pressure in the net at the time, and we just felt we needed to stabilize there, and we did. We moved a young guy with upside for what we felt was a more established veteran calming type guy that for the stage we were in when Colorado was in, that's gonna be hard for me to break, so bear with me on that. But Scott Wedgwood came in and did a fantastic job for the Avs, and no, I'm not surprised that Eustace came here and found his game, and obviously with his commitment and his work, that was never in question. He was always a hardworking, quiet, quality pro, and I think the goaltending department here probably has done some really good work as well, and it's allowed him to develop and stretch his wings, so to speak, a little bit. So I think the goaltending here is a strength. I think Saros has been a good goalie for a long time. I think he's a guy that a team can lean on. You got to win games in different ways, right? You got whether you score easier, but you're at the end of the day, the goaltender is the most important position and can cover up and band-aid some things that where on certain nights you're going to need your goalie, and I think Saros has shown that he's a really reliable, trustworthy goaltender in this league. So very fortunate to have both of them.
Maybe one more, and then we'll break down. Chris is going to be available afterwards to talk as well, but maybe one more, and then we'll.
It's a lot of pressure, Alex.
Yeah. Chris, you're in
overtime right now.
That's right. In your time in Colorado, it was hard to, you were assistant GM under Joe Sakic and then GM under president of hockey ops, Joe Sakic, parsing out responsibility or credit or anything. And I know you don't want to get in too much of that, but if I could give a couple examples, like the trade in 2017 for Duchesne and the trade this past season with Mikko Rantanen, is that kind of thing where like you came up with it, Sakic signed off on it, he came up with it, you signed off on it? How did you kind of go about that?
Easy. We worked together on everything. It was never like, in Colorado, we never used the term, that's my player, that's my trade. Everything was done as we, from the ownership to scouts to Joe to myself, and that continued right on through. Everybody has their thoughts, right? The last thing I think an organization wants on the hockey side is groupthink, right? If we have 10 scouts and they all agree on the same thing, we don't need 9 of you. Like that's how we look at it, right? Like we want to look under the hood and use analytics and coaches and things like that. But I can honestly say, I think you hear it in my voice, the way I talk about Joe. From day one, I was, I felt like I could add value to him, and I started there, working extensively close with the pro scouts and on the analytics side, and Joe was a huge mentor and allowed me to touch a lot of different things, and we worked very, very close together from day one and until last week, and we talked everything, life, kids, family, but a lot of hockey, and probably for every day during those 11 years. And I learned a lot from him, both, about hockey and power play and things of that sort, and his thoughts on the game. And he's one of the best to ever do it. So you'd have to be foolish to not listen to him when he speaks about the game. But we worked very close together. And again, that was one of the best things. We can bounce ideas off each other, whether it was Joe making the calls, early in my tenure there with as AGM, or or when he did the amazing thing that he did and promoted me to GM and became, stayed as president and didn't have to do that. So, but we shared ideas and we shared ideas from our scouts, from our analytics guys. And again, it was just an amazing team process. So
thank all you for coming. I want to tell when Chris is going to be mad at me for telling this, but it tells you about the kind of person we hired. All this obviously transpired pretty quickly. And so Chris had to, wanted to tell his assistant GMs and coach Bedsy that he was leaving. And, he wanted to do that personally before the news broke, which obviously is the right thing to do. But I called him right after that, and he said, he's going to kill me for telling the story, but he said, I'm gonna have to call you back. I'm just a little emotional after talking to my guys. And you want somebody that has a great head, that can make great decisions, but also has a great heart. And we've hired somebody who has both of those. So Chris, couldn't be more excited.
Really?
I think so.
You had to do that?
Yeah. Well, I promise not to tell many more stories. Hey, thanks everybody. Appreciate you being here, Nick.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
That was Chris MacFarland being introduced out at Bridgestone Arena. We'll react and send it back out there after this. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Thanks, man. Up 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Parker Kelly with you, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios. Home of the $99 yearly BI membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Quick final segment here. We aired the whole Chris MacFarland introductory press conference. Lots of good stuff there. Didn't give firm answers really on anything. Was asked about the coaching staff, said that he knows Andrew Brunette, says he's a great person, but going to have a conversation with him coming up in the next couple of days. Was asked about the direction he wants to take this team, and he did say that sometimes you have to have some tough years. He was refusing to use the word pain, but that was the one he kept alluding to in order to become a Stanley Cup contender. But I do think you got a lot of good stuff out of Chris MacFarland there, and excited to see what he is going to be able to do as the next GM and president of hockey operations for the Nashville Predators. Again, it has to be a quick final segment here before we get you off to chasing Big Joe, because we went 40 minutes commercial free there on the introductory press conference. But coming up, chasing Big Joe, they are live out at Bridgestone Arena, so they're going to have full reaction to everything Chris MacFarland had to say, everything Bill Haslam had to say, and what this means for the Predators moving forward. They'll also have some guests on over there, so excited for that. Chasing Big Joe are coming up at noon right after us. Big thanks to Cory Curtis for joining us for most of the show today. Lots of good insight from Cory, and we'll have him back on again next week. But tomorrow on the show, it is a TD Thursday, so we will get back into more Titans topics tomorrow, talk about OTAs as they are on an off week this week, but coming back 3 open practices next week. So going to get TD's thoughts on everything going on with the Titans, and of course, a busy week around the NFL. But that wraps things up for us. Again, coming up next, Chase and Big Joe are live at Bridgestone Arena, and they are giving full reaction to Chris MacFarland being introduced as the next president of hockey operations and GM of the Nashville Predators. That's coming up next. Keep it right here on 102.5 The Game.